Welcome back to our new topic about economics. So this topic is talking about price mechanism. Remember that we are on a subtopic area that is called price theory. Topic area 2 is microeconomics. Microeconomics. On unit 10, what called price mechanism. Murakaza neza mu isomo ryacu rero ry'uyu munsi ni topic ya 10 cyangwa se unit ya 10 bita price mechanism. Twarebye nyinshi zitandukanye harimo consumer theory n'izindi nyinshi zigiye zitandukanye zabanje haruguru. Mbibutsa yuko uwaba afite ikibazo muzo twabanje yakwandika comment munsi maze akatubaza tukaza musubiriza kugera. Price mechanism. We're going to start about introduction. So what is price mechanism? We can see advantages of price mechanism, disadvantages of price mechanism, methods used to reduce problems caused by price mechanism. After analyzing what is price mechanism, so we can see price fluctuations, Cobweb Theorem, causes of price fluctuations for agricultural products, effect of price fluctuations, how to control price fluctuations, buffer stock system, stabilization fund, price control, maximum price legislation, minimum price legislation or price floor, resale price maintenance, rent control, rationing, positive effect of price controls, negative effect of price controls, international commodity agreements, role played by international commodity agreements, factors that limit the success of international commodity agreements, and we shall end with the unity by saying unit summary and unit assessment. So welcome back to the topic now. What is price mechanism? What do you understand when they say price mechanism? The price mechanism. So at the end of this unit now, you should be able to analyze the role of price mechanism in the allocation of resources. Introduction. So in unit 7, we looked at how the forces of demand and supply operate freely to determine the equilibrium of the market. This happens when there is no interference from other forces. In this unit, we shall continue to analyze how the system works and its outcomes. We shall also look at the means of government can use to improve the operation of the market forces in the allocation of resources. So as activity 10, now 1, in a group of 5, sit as if you are in a group of 5, carry out research on the objectives and functions of Rwanda Bureau of Standard RBC and Rwanda Utilities Regulatory Authority, RURA. So from your research, discuss what would happen to the goods and services either produced or imported into the country if RBs and the RURA were disbanded. What does the RURA and RBC share in common? So sit and think about those questions. Price mechanism. So now on a group of 5 again, carry out research from the library and internet sources on the meaning of price mechanism and how it operates. Note down your findings later, make a presentation to the class or to your friends. In fact, now you will see that when you come out from research, price mechanism is a system in a free enterprise economy in which resources allocation and prices are determined by forces of demand and supply with little or no government interference. This depends on the forces of demand and supply. It can also be called the price system. It's how the price allocate the resources, or price determined the force determined by forces of demand and supply. Only that. So under price mechanism now, demand and supply determine resources allocation. There is no government intervention in the production decision of producers, for instance, in the form of price legislation. Decisions of producers are influenced by the interests of the consumers. There is private ownership of resources. Profit maximization is the main objective of product production. Yes, profit maximization is the main objective of production. Kuvuga ngo ntabwo ukora production udafite intego yo kuba wabona profit maximization. Kuvuga ngo ibintu byose dukora production nuko tuba dushaka inyungu iri hejuru. Consumers aim at utility maximization mu gihe abo tubihereza cyangwa se ababigura ababikoresha bo bashaka satisfaction cyangwa se utility, as we have seen in the chapter that we have covered. There are many competing firms in different industries under the price system. Hari competing nyinshi, hari firms nyinshi cyangwa se business nyinshi ziba ziri gukompeta muri price system cyangwa se price mechanism. So the market forces operate freely. When demand increases and exceeds supply, prices increase. Rero mu gihe demand yiyongereye ikaruta supply, ni ukuvuga ngo igiciro kiriyongera. When supply increases, igihe supply noneho yiyongereye ikaruta demand, icyo gihe byanga byakunda price iragabanyuka automatically. That's how this graph indicates how it increases or reduces. So as you observe well this graph, when the forces of demand and supply are left to interact freely in the market, equilibrium is attained in the market where quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. So we have seen it in equilibrium. In the above diagram, EO is the equilibrium point. Yeah. Price OPEO is the equilibrium price determined by the market forces. So quantity OQEO is the equilibrium quantity. Let us assume that the demand increases and the supply remains constant at S1. This implies that the demand is greater than supply. The demand curve will shift from D1 to D2. A new equilibrium point is attained at E1. Equilibrium price increases from OPE0 to OPE1. So when supply increases in demand and demand remains constant at D1, the supply curve shifts from C1 to C2. Supply exceeds demand. A new equilibrium is attained in the market at E2. Equilibrium price reduces from OPE0 to OPE1, 2. So you have to observe this graph so that you can ensure that you have covered all things that we have spotted. Now we have to see advantages of price mechanism. What are the advantages of price mechanism? After analyzing what is price mechanism, now the advantages of price mechanism. Price mechanisms promote efficient allocation and use of resources. Price mechanism ifasha abantu cyangwa se producers kuba allocating cyangwa se bakoresha neza resources zabo. 2. Under price mechanism, producers aim at maximizing profit. No kuvuga ngo twasanze ka producers ba producing bashaka profit. Muri price mechanism rero nabyo birakora. So gatatu, there is competition between producers. No kuvuga aba producers kuko bari benshi, kuko bari operating muri free without government intervention, habaho competition because there is a free entry and a free exit. Hari aba ushaka wese ajya muri production. Niyo mpamvu habamo competition, habamo producers benshi. 4. There is speculation under price mechanism. Speculation under price mechanism, but speculators ensure steady supply of commodities. Consumers are offered a chance to access commodities all the time throughout. Kuvuga ngo ruguru twabonye ko ya gatatu ko habamo competition. Iyi competition ituma habaho efficient in production. Buri muntu wese agakora iby'umwimerere byiza cyane kugira ngo arutabandi. Icyo gihe none aba consumers bagaconsuminga ibiri standard. None is speculation under price mechanism. No kuvuga ngo speculators baguteganya igihe kizaza, supply of commodities. So consumers are offered a chance to access commodities all the time throughout. Kuvuga ngo bose aba consumers bagira amahirwe yo kuba bafata aba commodities igihe icyari cyo cyose. Kubera ko aba producers bari guteganya ejo n'ejo bundi kuba bakora production, ba supplying. Price mechanism encourages acquisitions and distribution of commodities from areas where supply is high to areas where there is a little or no supply. No kuvuga ngo price mechanism ifasha abantu kuba bakwirakwiza ibicuruzwa babivana hano hari byinshi bakabijyana hano hari bikeya. So price mechanism answers the following economic questions: what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce, and when to produce. Thank you very much. Now, so this is how the advantages of price mechanism operates. So number 7 now. Number 7, it encourages effective distribution and redistribution of resources. We have spoken about it. Number 8, price mechanism works automatically. Yes, it is automatically price mechanism. It therefore does not require the government to put in a lot of resources for implementation. This makes it cheap to operate. It is responsible for the government and gives it a chance to concentrate on other areas. So after the advantages, we're gonna see disadvantages of price mechanism. Price mechanism promotes income inequality. Kubera ko harimo abantu benshi bagiye batandukanye, inyungu mbona ndi mu soko cyangwa se ndi mu bicuruzwa bya production yanjye ibitandukanye n'iyundi, bityo rero habamo income inequalities. Resources owners earn more income than those without. That is simple. Number 2, the high cost and inefficient farms are pushed out of business by the most efficient ones. Ni ukuvuga ngo farms idakora neza nto iciriritse, icyo gihe iyo habonetse indi iri hejuru ikuramo ya indi ntoya, byanga byakunda ya indi biri successful niyo ikora cyane kuruta ya indi iri hasi. This kind of competition may result into a monopoly in the long run. Kuvuga ngo iyo bayi successful imwe ihite closing, no ya indi ikaba monopoly. Yeah, we have seen that about monopoly. Number 3, the desire to maximize profits is high under price mechanism. Kuvuga ngo baba bakeneye inyungu iri hejuru cyane, bityo rero aba consumers bakaba bakandamizwa bitewe n'uko ubushobozi bwabo aba ari bukeya. So standardization culture now, RBC has developed the sector standards to avoid associated dangers and also prevent wrong practices in the industry. As a reference, you can see the Standard Journal, Volume 1, issue number 8, April 2014. So since there is no government control in the price mechanism, there may be introduction of harmful and illegal product to the market. Kuvuga ngo bitewe no price mechanism nta government birimo cyane, icyo gihe hatazamo ibicuruzwa bitujuje ubuziranenge. Too much competition may eliminate the upcoming and small farms from the market. No kuvuga ngo bitewe na competition ibihari ituma habaho kugabanyuka kwa farms ku isoko. Za small farms zose zigahita zivamo hakasigara ziri successful. So unprofitable but unessential commodities may disappear from the market. Yes. Zidafite inyungu byanga byakunda, commodities zitari gutanga inyungu zihita ziva ku isoko. Price mechanism is slow and may not bring about necessary structural changes and growth in the economy. Simple one. The price system cannot provide public goods, some of which are not profit making. Yes. Price mechanism may bring about the fluctuations. Fluctuation, price fluctuation is the change in price, falling and rising in prices. So, methods used to reduce problems caused by price mechanism. Methods used to reduce problems caused by mechanism. We have to see disadvantages of price mechanism can be rectified through the following means. To twirinde ibibazo biterwa na price mechanism, government itishira icyo bita taxation. Taxation differences in the incomes created by price mechanism can be corrected through taxation. Yeah, where they can use price control. Private producers in most cases cheat consumers by increasing prices. Price control. Economic planning. The government carries out short-term and long-term economic planning. Yes. Formation of consumer association. This protects consumers against exploitation by the profit-motivated private producers. Number 5, government support. The government may subsidize weak farms. Za farms ntoya ziri gushaka kuvamo, noneho government igahereza imfashanyo zikazamuka nazo zikaba successful, zikajya muri competition. I competition ituma habaho the quality of product. Yes. Number 6, using anti-monopoly or antitrust laws. Such laws remove the basis of monopoly created through price system. bitewe nuko haba habayeho monopoly, bitewe nuko habaye successful farms yasigaye ku isoko izindi zose zavuyemo, icyo gihe byanga byakunda bashira icyo bita anti-monopoly cyangwa antitrust laws, amategeko agenga arwanya monopoly. This prevent farms from merging to become monopolies. Ibyo bituma ayo mategeko atuma noneho abuza farms kuba yakwihuza kugira ngo habeho monopolies. Yeah, nationalization. The government may take over private farms as a way of controlling the private sector. This reduces private interest that could overrun the public interest in the private system. Yeah. What is price fluctuation now? Price fluctuation, we have seen that it is rising and falling in prices. So that is what we call price fluctuation. In the agricultural sector, usually during the planting seasons, prices for agricultural products are high. After harvest, prices reduce. This rise and fall in the price of commodities in different periods of time is called price fluctuation. Yeah, that's all. So now the scenario is common without a government intervention. In the periods when supply of agricultural product is high, prices are low. When supply reduces, price increases. Therefore, the difference between supply and the demand in the agricultural sector and failure to regulate supply basically explain the constant price fluctuation. Such fluctuation in the agricultural sector can be elaborated by Cobweb Theorem. What is Cobweb Theorem now? What is that? So the Cobweb Theorem is an economic model used to explain how small economic shocks can become amplified by the behavior of producers. Are you understanding? The amplification is essentially the result of information failure, where producers base their current output on the average price they obtain in the market during the previous year. The Cobweb Theorem is an economic model used to explain. An economic model just system. Isobanura small economic shocks can become amplified by the behaviors of producers. Amplification is essentially the result of information failure. Information failure. So the way producers base their current output on the average price they obtain in the market during the previous year. Yeah, that's what we call Cobweb. Assumptions of the Cobweb Theorem. A theorem is based on the following assumptions. Planned output is not always equal to actual output. It's simple one. Production depends on factors that are beyond the control of producers. Kuvuga ngo yambere planned output ibyo bapanze kuvanamo nk'umusaruro wabo ntabwo biba bingana na actual output ibyo basaruruyemo. Kuvuga ngo bateganya ibyo bazasarura, niba bateganya kuvanamo toni 10 abahinzi shaka kuvanamo toni 10 noneho ugasanga avanyemo nka toni 5 cyangwa se n'izindi zirenzo. Yeah, planned output is not always equal to actual output. Production depends on factors that are beyond the control of producers. There is a time lag between the time when decisions to produce are taken and the time when products are produced. That is true. So, demand in the current period depends on the prevailing market prices, DT equal to PT. Supply in the current period depends on the prices in the previous production season. Yeah, the assumptions above suit favorably in the agricultural production. There are basically 3 types of Cobweb Theorem. There are 3 types of Cobweb. They are the convergent or damped Cobweb with a stable equilibrium. There is the divergent explosive Cobweb with unstable equilibrium, and the third one is the regular equilibrium. Now, what is convergence or damped Cobweb? So, convergent Cobweb occurs when price fluctuation tend towards the equilibrium. It happens when the demand is more elastic than supply. Demand responds more to price changes than supply. Fluctuation in the price tend towards equilibrium. Kuvuga ngo ni price fluctuation ihindagurika rikigenda yegera equilibrium. Yeah, that's what we call convergent or damped dampened cobweb. So it is illustrated on this graph now. So it is illustrated at this graph. So where price OPE is the equilibrium price and the quantity OQE is the equilibrium quantity, producers expect to produce output OQE and sell at price OPE. There will be neither excess nor shortage in the market. However, due to unfavorable natural factors, production is affected. Supply reduces to quantity OQ1 as a result of low supply. Prices increase to OP1 in the current period. C. Analyze the graph well. When planning for the new season, producers base their plans on the current market price OP1 that is high. They plan to produce more. When they produce in the new season, supply increases to OQ2. Because of this high supply, prices reduces to OP2. As a result, quantity produced in the new season is OQ2 and is sold at a low price OP2. So this low price OP2 discourages producers such that they plan to produce less in the coming season. Basing on low price OP2, they produced low output OQ3. Because of this low output produced in the following season, prices increases to produce O3. Thus, output OQ3 is sold at high price O3 in the current period. This relatively high price encourages producers to produce more in the forthcoming season, basing on the price OP3. Producers plan to increase supply. In the next season, they produce a high output OQ4, which then pushes the price downwards to OP4. This variation of increase and decrease in output and the prices according to season produce equilibrium in the long run. So number 2, diverging explosive cobweb. Divergent cobweb occur when price fluctuation tend to move away from the equilibrium. Nukuvuga ngo iyo ibaho igihe fluctuation ya price iri kuhunga equilibrium. This happens when supply is more elastic than demand. Supply responds more to price changes than demand. Fluctuations in price tend to move away from the equilibrium as illustrated there. So you can see the arrows. There in the graph. So to explain how the divergent cobweb is happening. Price OPE is the equilibrium price. Quantity OQE is the equilibrium quantity producers expect to produce output OQE and sell at price OPE. There will be no excess or shortage in the market, I mean. So you have to read this carefully and analyze it well as a homework. So then analyze it. This content explains well the graph about the divergent cobweb. So number 3 is regular cobweb. Regular cobweb occur when there is unitary elastic demand. Unitary elastic demand. Remember, in the elasticity we have seen it. The elasticity demand and supply are equal. That is what we call unitary elastic. The elasticity demand and supply are equal. Fluctuation in the prices are constant between 2 points. That is what we call regular cobweb. Occur when there is unitary elastic demand. Is illustrated here. Where price OPE is the equilibrium price, quantity OQE is the equilibrium quantity, producers expect to produce output OQE and sell at price OPE. There will be no excess or shortage in the market. However, due to unfavorable natural factors, production is affected. Supply reduces the quantity OQ1. As a result of low supply, prices shoot to OP1 in the current period. When planning for the next season, producers base their plans on the current market price OP1, which is high. They plan to produce more. When they produce in the next season, supply increases to OQ2. Because of this high supply, prices reduced to OP2. As a result, quantity produced in this new season is OQ2, and it is sold at a low price OP2. So this low price OP2 discourages producers such that they plan to produce less in the coming season. Based on a low price OP2, they produce low output OQ1 again. Because of this low output produced in the next season, prices increases to produce OP1. Thus, output OQ1 is sold at high prices of P1 in the current period. So these relatively high prices encourage producers to produce more in the forthcoming season. Based on the price of P1, producers plan to increase supply. In the following season, they produce a high output OQ2, which then pushes the price downwards to OP2. These cycles are continuous in that manner. Season in, season out, price and quantity keep on fluctuating between 2 points that we call regular cobweb. What are the causes of price fluctuation of agricultural products? So there are different reasons where there are price fluctuations in agricultural production. Number A, there is perishable commodities. When there is a perishable commodities, most agricultural products are perishable. They cannot be kept for long. Before harvest, supply is down. Kuvuga ngo iyo baproducinze ibintu bibora, commodities zibora, byaga byakunda ntabwo bazibika igihe kirekire. Mbere y'isarura rero, igihe supply ibiri down. Yeah, that is called perishable commodities. Icyo gihe byanga byakunda ibiciro biragabanyuka mu gihe supply itari yaba mbere y'isarura. B, long gestation periods. There is usually a long time lag between planting season and harvesting period. Mu gihe bateye imyaka cyangwa se abahinzi bateye imyaka ntabwo bihita bigera ku kanya ngo bajyane ku isoko, ahubwo ni igihe kirekire. That we call long gestation period. Mu gihe rero kiri kirekire, immediately after planting, supply remains very low. Because of low supply, prices are high. Mu gihe ibintu byavuze igiciro gihita kiba hejuru. See difference between planned output and actual output. We have seen it. Kuvuga ngo ibyo umuhinzi ateganya mu kuvana mu murima we, iyo ntago ari byo asarura, usanga rimwe na rimwe ibyo yateganyije biri munsi y'ibyo abonye bitewe n'igihe wenda byarariwe n'udusimba cyangwa se byaratatswe n'izindi ndwara cyangwa se imvura nyinshi ikaba yarabitembanye, ugasanga umusaruro uteganyije uri mukeya. So the difference between planned and output and actual output. D, agriculture in developing economies is practiced by many small scale producers. Usanga agriculture ubuhinzi cyane mu bihugu bikiri mu nzira y'amajyambere bikorwa n'abantu na small scale producers, abantu bakeya cyane bafite isambu runaka ari bakeya, ariko nabo baproducinga bahinga ku tuntu dukeya ku isambu ntoya cyane. Agricultural producers in developing countries produce similar products. Usanga noneho bose ni benshi ariko bari guhinga ibintu bimwe. That will remain constant in price and competing. So it may not be absorbed by the market, which in turn forces selling prices to go down. Igiciro gihita kijya hasi igihe baproduce ibintu bimwe. Absence of effective commodity programs. Most developing economies lack programs that can be used to regulate supply and then stabilize prices. So, agricultural products have low market in industrial production. This reduces the market for surplus output in developing countries. So, agricultural products have an elastic demand. This is because most of them are foodstuff. For instance, even if the price for food reduces, the amount of food eaten by an individual almost remain constant. Nubwo igiciro cyahindagurika rwose cy'ibyo kurya, ariko usanga ibyo bantu bariye n'ubundi bimeze kimwe ari constant. So regulating supply of agricultural products through arbitrage is difficult. Arbitrage, what is arbitrage? This is because agricultural products are bulky. Transporting them from area of excess supply to area of scarcity is costly. usanga noneho kubivana ahantu hamwe ahari ibintu byinshi kubijyana ahandi hatari ibintu byinshi, usanga transport ihenze cyane. Ni mbega arbitrage ni igihe bafata ya arbitrage ni igihe bafata ibicuruzwa biraho hantu hari ibintu byinshi bakabyimurira ahandi hari ibintu bikeya. That we call arbitrage. Noneho regulating supply of agricultural products through arbitrage is difficult. Yeah, icyo gituma noneho output becomes expensive, ugasanga ibintu biri guhenda cyane. Yeah, effect of price fluctuation. What is the effect? What are the effects of price fluctuation? Price fluctuation in the agricultural sector lead to fluctuation in farmers' incomes. These affect their activities in the long run. The effect include planning becomes difficult. Yes, this is because of fluctuation in farmers' incomes and the government revenue. Implementation of government plans is affected. 2. Agricultural production is a source of revenue to the government. This is especially so in developing economies like Rwanda. Money matters. Agriculture is the backbone of our country. As a result, it forms the biggest percentage of economic activity. Number 3, agricultural production is discouraged. Some producers are discouraged and may abandon agricultural production in favor of other sectors. Number 4, modernization of agriculture becomes difficult. This is because it becomes difficult to rely on agricultural revenue to improve agriculture. Number 5, price fluctuation may result into fluctuation in the foreign exchange earnings from agricultural exports. This may lead to balance of payment (BOP) deficit when prices of export reduces. How to control price fluctuation then? If there are different effects or how to control price fluctuation. In controlling price fluctuation, the following can be done to reduce price fluctuation in agricultural sectors. That is price fixation. This can be done by the government through maximum and minimum price legislation. Number 2, improving storage system. Stable prices in the agricultural sector can be ensured by improving storage system. So improve transport system. These facilitate the movement of commodities from area of plenty to area of scarcity. So diversification of the agricultural sector. This creates a variety of commodities supplied to the market. So improvement in technology. Technology reduces dependence on the natural conditions. This increases the quality of output, which makes it competitive. Processing agricultural product. This adds value to agricultural product and it makes them competitive. So 7, international commodity agreement. These agreements can be used to stabilize price on the international market. This helps to stabilize prices of agricultural product by regulating production in the member countries. Number 8, stabilization of process. Prices can be established through establishment of farmers associations to regulate supply. These associations may help to fix quotas and regulate supply. Farmers would produce according to the fixed quotas. So what is buffer stock system now? Buffer stock system. Buffer stock system is a system where government buys excess output from producer, stores it and supplies it to the market in a period of shortage. It is used to stabilize producers' income and prices. Kuvuga ngo buffer stock ni igihe government ifata ikarangura output, excess output zarenze ziri ku isoko z'aba producers ikagenda ikazisitoka noneho ikazazigushira ku isoko mu gihe cya shortage. Igihe hahandi byabuze government ikazibizana ku isoko kugira ngo abaturage enjoying. The buffer stock system operates on the assumption that farmers' planned output is not always equal to actual output. Those are the assumptions of a buffer stock system. Agricultural production depends on natural factors that are beyond the control of farmers. There is a time lag between time when decisions to produce are taken and the time when products are produced. 4. All prices determined along the demand curve, DPAD, price elasticity of demand equal to 1, give the same total revenue as illustrated there on the curve. So you have to see them according to explanation, according to the contents under that curve. So, advantages of buffer stock. The buffer stock system helps to stabilize producers' income. Irrespective of season changes, producers' income remain almost constant. So the consumers is assured of a steady supply. When producers' output is low, the government draws from its stores to supplement what the producers have put on the market. This increases market supply and offers a chance to consumers to get what they require. Because of steady income from production, producers are encouraged to keep producing. This is helpful to the economy. Problems faced by the buffer stock system. Problems faced by the buffer stock system. There is perishability of agricultural commodities. Perishability of agricultural commodities. Most commodities are highly perishable. This makes storage difficult. Effects of inflation, which affect the stabilization funds as the money kept in the funds to lose value. Most developing countries lack efficient storage facilities to keep the surplus output. Lack of sufficient funds by marketing board to run activities of buying and handling the surplus output. The activities of buffer stock system involve high administrative costs to run. Yes, mismanagement and corruption in the marketing boards by board members and staff. These affect the proper functioning of buffer stock. The buffer stock system increases government responsibilities. The government directly involves itself in actual buying and selling of commodities. So, the system requires out-of-market research. Decisions on how much, when to buy and or sell require much of research. This makes it costly. Now, what is stabilization fund? A stabilization fund is a mechanism set up by government or central bank to insulate the domestic economy from large influxes of revenue as from commodities such as oil. Stabilization fund system also works on the same assumption as buffer stock system, means farmers' planned output is not always equal to actual output. Agricultural production depends on natural factors that are beyond the control of farmers. There is time lag between the time when decisions to produce are taken and the time when products are produced. All prices determined along the demand curve, D, price elasticity of demand equal to 1, give the same total revenue. Now, those are the illustration of stabilization fund, and it is explained there under these contents under this graph. Price control. What is price control? Price control refers to the methods that can be used to interfere with the forces of demand and supply in determining prices. Price mechanism is not allowed to influence price in the market. It can also be called price administrations. So, at maximum price legislation or price ceiling, minimum price legislation, price floor, resale price maintenance, rent control, rationing, use of international commodities. What is maximum price legislation? This is the highest price fixed by the government below the equilibrium point above which it is illegal to buy or sell the commodity. Sellers and buyers are required by law not to buy or sell above the fixed prices. As it is fixed below the equilibrium, consumers are willing and ready to buy more commodities since the prices are affordable. On the other hand, however, sellers are discouraged by the low price. Quantity supply reduces. It is illustrated here. You can see there is a shortage and equilibrium. So, shortage, that PE is a price at equilibrium. Maximum price is below price equilibrium. That indicated by shortages. Yeah. You have to read carefully that to improve on welfare of the population by keeping price low to control inflation. So the government fixes the maximum price to protect the consumers from being cheated by the profit-oriented sellers, to maintain stability of prices and avoid fluctuations, to control monopoly tendencies of increasing prices, to encourage consumption of particular commodities, to improve on the welfare of the population by keeping prices low, to control inflation. Those are the main objectives why government set stabilization or control prices. Yeah, minimum price legislation or price floor. This is the lowest price fixed by the government above the equilibrium point below which it is illegal to buy or sell commodities. For instance, a minimum wage for workers or a minimum price set by the government for agricultural products to protect farmers from being cheated by the profit-oriented traders or middlemen. It is illustrated here. You can see there is excess supply and PE equal a price equilibrium, and PM is price it is a minimum price. Minimum price. It is a minimum price set by government. It is a price on market. So, when the minimum price is fixed, quantity demanded reduces from the equilibrium quantity determined by the market forces OKE to OKD. OKD is the quantity demanded at the minimum prices. So, the difference between quantity demanded OKD and quantity supplied OKS shows the excess supply that is created by the minimum price. The government fixes the minimum price to protect producers and workers in the case of minimum wage from being cheated by the profit-motivated buyers and employers respectively, to increase producers' earning as a way of encouraging production, to stabilize prices by limiting price fluctuation. So, resale price maintenance. What is resale price maintenance? This is where the producer fixes the price of his product up to the retail level. Means the retailers sell a constant price fixed by the producer. And resale price maintenance ni igihe producer ahaye igiciro mu retailers kugira ngo agurishe ibicuruzwa ku giciro batanze. Nk'urugero, prices of newspapers is fixed by the suppliers. Prices of airtime cards is fixed by producers. Prices of textbooks is also fixed by producers, and so on. Rent control. This is where the government intervenes to fix price of housing facilities, especially in the urban areas where their demand is also always high, as a way of protecting consumers or tenants. Rationing. This is where the government takes control of the supply channel of scarce commodity and distributes it to consumers equally at constant price. It is aimed at ensuring supply of the scarce commodity to all consumers. What are the positive effects of price control now? The resale price maintenance stabilizes producers' income. Maximum prices controls monopoly power. Price controls maintain price stability. Price control protects consumers from being exploited by profit-motivated producers. Yes. Minimum wage increase purchasing power of workers. The minimum wage protects workers from exploitation by employers. Price control protects producers from being underpaid by profit-motivated. Minimum wage maintains industrial peace. It avoids the occurrence of strikes by trade unions when demanding wage increments. Negative effect of price controls. Maximum price lead to black markets. Yes, black market. Commodities are sold to willing buyers and higher prices behind counters. Minimum wage legislation may increase the supply of labor by reducing voluntary unemployment and so create unemployment. A maximum prices increase demand, creating shortages. When the price is fixed below the equilibrium, supply is discouraged by quantity demanded widens. Minimum price, like minimum wages, increases the cost of production. This reduces the volume of production. Rent control reduces the supply of housing facilities. It discourages landlords from expanding housing facilities. A minimum price creates storage problems of the surplus output produced. Supply increases with a minimum price, but quantity demanded reduces. Maximum prices reduce the incentives of private producers. This because their power to determine prices of their product depending on their cost is reduced. International Commodity Agreement. International Commodity Agreement. There is association of producers and all consumers, countries or certain commodities formed for purpose of regulating supply and stabilizing their prices. They are agreement by member countries to stabilize trade supplies and prices of commodity for the benefit of all member countries. These agreements usually involve consensus on the amount of commodity to be traded, price, and the management of stock. Examples include the International Coffee Agreement, ICA, that established the International Coffee Organization, ICO, the International Tropical Timber Agreement, ITTA, from which the International Tropical Timber Organization, ITTO, was established. Remember that the basic objective of International Commodity Agreement is to stimulate a dynamic and steady growth and ensure reasonable predictability in the real export earnings to the developing countries. What is the role played by the International Commodity Agreement? Commodity agreements are essential in stabilizing the international economy and strengthening the balance of payment (BOP) status in producer countries. International prices for especially primary products are usually low. They usually fluctuate frequently. Commodity agreements thus help to reduce price fluctuation of commodities on the international market. They increase the bargaining capacity of the members. They increase the prices of their products. They raise and stabilize export earnings of member countries. International commodity agreements avoid competition. They employ the quota system to regulate supply. Commodity agreements help to stabilize prices of importing countries. What are the factors that limit the success of international commodity agreement? It is like a limitations, or it is like a barriers. Different countries have different economic interests and difficulties. Conflicting interests of members, especially producers against consumers, limit the successful functioning of commodity agreements. Sometimes member countries agree on a fixed quota that each member should produce. Countries do not produce proportionately equal amounts. Members that produce large amounts dominate others. Different countries are endowed differently with resources. This brings about differences in cost of production, which may bring about disagreement on prices. If members contribute a small share of the world output, they cannot influence the price on the world market. The functioning of these agreements require independent organs to effectively operationalize them. There is a lack of effective supervision to implement the established quotas. Some countries may violate the established quotas. So this is the end of Unit 10. Unit summary, price mechanism, you have seen them, price controls, maximum price. This is a summary of what we have covered. So you have to read it carefully and see whether it can help you. Remember to subscribe, remember to give a comment, remember to share so that others can influence, can assess on this YouTube channel and learn well so that they may succeed. So thank you very much. We are going to see each other on another topic of another